Now you can watch the full episodes of Sidewalks Entertainment on our celebrity and music online channel. Watch the latest editions and some of our classic shows that haven't been seen since it first aired. It's 48 episodes back to back, 24/7, mornings, afternoons, evening, and late night. Binge us anytime at sidewalks.tv.
Our next guest you might remember from her TV hits like Saved by the Bell, Beverly Hills 90210, and White Collar, as well as her current starring role in the Netflix show Alexa and Katie. But outside of acting, she has another passion in cooking, and today she's sharing some meals from her new cookbook, Pull Up a Chair. I'd like to welcome the one and only Tiffani Thiessen to the show. Tiffani,
Hi.
thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. I know you get this all the time, but you have your fans from Saved by the Bell. I just want to briefly mention, can you believe it's crazy? It's been 30 years.
Yeah, you're making me feel old there. Thanks a lot. No, it's really crazy. I mean, it does, I mean, to a certain degree, it feels like it's sort of like yesterday, but at the same time, I look back and I'm like, wow, like what I didn't know back then and what I know now, right?
Right? Well, it's funny because back then you grew up, you were kind of like a budding child actor and a budding star around that time. Do you remember what it was like getting your parts and getting your roles back then?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do. Yeah, there's definite like big memories for me at that age. And, that show was kind of like the first big thing for me. I was still very inexperienced. I had done a couple little acting jobs here and there, but nothing like that. I mean, and that was just a whole nother ball game for me. But I have such fond memories, of course. I really, I take a big chunk of my, teenage years away from just that show and having really great memories. And I still talk to quite a few of them. So it's neat. It's great. I have, it's nostalgic for a lot of people, and it is for me on a personal level too,
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching it, huge fan as well.
Thanks.
But also huge fan of a lot of your other work too. I mean, you White Collar, oh my God, that show was awesome, by the way.
Oh, it was definitely one of my favorite shows just because I got to live in New York City. It was during a time when I had my first child, my daughter Harper, and I have such fond memories, like really fond memories of that show. And it was great. It was great.
Yeah, well, it's funny because as an actor, Tiffani, you have to audition for so many roles.
Yeah.
And I heard that you actually auditioned for the role of Rachel in Friends.
I did.
And I was wondering how close were you to landing the role? Because I know that's something people were talking about.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my God, that'd been so awesome too.
I think I remember getting a call back, but I don't remember. It's hard to know like how close you really get unless you get the feedback from them, But I remember my feedback is that I was a little too young for the role as they started kind of filling the other roles up for the other cast members. But I remember loving that show, of course, and knowing that it was going to be a huge hit, which it was, of course.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you moved on and you got Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah,
so,
totally different. Yeah, true, right? Apples and oranges, right?
And it's crazy how life has other plans for us. So you just never know, right?
You
Especially
never
with
know.
acting.
I mean, my grandmother always says, and she said it when I was little, everything happens for a reason, and you may not know it right now, but you may know it in 10 years, so.
That's so true. Well, I'm sure your family, speaking of your grandma, I wonder, do you guys ever watch past episodes of any of your work? I know it's a funny question, but I wonder if you guys ever sit down and watch it.
Harper watched only the first season of Saved by the Bell, but my kids are still too young to really watch that kind of stuff. I remember I did a voiceover of a cartoon for a while that she watched for Disney. So that was kind of fun for her. But it was Jake and the Neverland Pirates, by the way. If you have kids, you probably might know that cartoon that was on for a while, the animated show. But now what's funny is that she, for a long time, really related more to my cooking show that I used to have on Cooking Channel. But now that she's 8, she's all about Alexa and Katie because she's right at that sweet spot of starting to watch that kind of TV. And it's, very much a family viewing show. with such a great message and such, such heart, not a typical sitcom, it has a lot of heart to it with the storyline of my daughter undergoing cancer treatment. So she's a huge fan. Of course, I'm nothing big to her. It's more about the other kids on the show. Like, it's no big deal that mommy's on the show, but everybody else is pretty cool. But it's cute.
That's awesome. I'm a new mom now too, Tiffany. I just wanted to mention.
Congratulations.
So we're definitely going to follow any of your work that is kid related. That's for sure.
Well, I have a ton of kid recipes. When your little one's ready to actually take on solids, there's a lot of recipes. I've got tons of recipes in there. 125 recipes. Some that I've been doing since I was little with my family, to ones that I'm doing for my family now. And I'm actually here with Cuisinart. One of my favorite ones to do that actually my daughter now takes over and does the whole recipe by herself at 8 years old is the avocado brownies. And a little trick, I actually take away some of the butter and oil that you normally would put in baking, and I use avocados, and you would never know it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Tiffani. I mean, obviously you've done so much as an actor, and now you're taking on this role as a cookbook author and cooking, they have the show. And it's crazy because I was going to ask you about that because as a new mom, like, what can you do? How do you have time to even cook anything? So what are kind of like your go-to recipes for as a new mom or parent?
Well, it's hard. It's super hard. And I so know that new mom feeling. I've done it twice, and I know exactly how that is. I'm a firm believer in planning. I really do. I plan out my meals for my family usually on the weekends before before the week gets crazy and it starts. And and I actually talk about that a lot in the very last chapter of the book. But I have tons. I have lots of recipes that I've named after my family because it's some of their favorites. People ask me all the time, what is my favorite? And I'm like, it's like picking a favorite child. I can't pick a favorite recipe, but my daughter definitely loves this one. My son loves mac and cheese because he's little. What kid doesn't love mac and cheese? And I actually, I sneak butternut squash into my mac and cheese just to get a little veggie in there when I can, and he loves it. My husband's from Texas, so he is partial to the short rib enchiladas. We still have an argument who either has the better Mexican food, California or Texas. We're still arguing about that. I feel like California.
Oh my God.
I'm sure you guys feel the same way. But yeah, there's a ton of recipes in there, all very much, just family-based, because that's kind of where my life is right now. And the whole sentiment of Pull Up a Chair is really just about how food brings people together, and how it's all about connection. And I don't know about you, but I used to have family dinners every night with my family, and there were no phones and there were no books and nothing else on the table but just us conversing and connecting over food. So.
Right? I was going to ask you about that. I mean, growing up with your family, I'm sure they influenced your cooking, especially for me. I'm from a Latina background, so we always had family and food every day. It was like, if my mom's like, you got to eat. You're not going to eat? Are you kidding? So I wonder if it was like that for you as well.
It was. It very much was. It was our time to kind of unwind and connect. And I kind of taken this tradition with, my husband's family was exactly the same way. And we sit at the table and we talk about one thing that was really awesome about the day, and then one thing that maybe made us a little disappointed. And it kind of just really, really starts a good conversation between all of us. And it's a tradition that we've done and we absolutely love. So.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what might be some of the top essential cooking tools that we'd have to have in our kitchen? Because I have a couple of things, but I'm like, what would be the top
Well,
one?
I mean, just like the stand mixer, that's literally the precision master. I mean, the stand mixer is the thing you have to have in your kitchen. Personally, I think.
Yeah.
A blender is another one that you have to have. I mean, of course, you have to have a stovetop and an oven, but but these are the two things. And I would probably say, a good wooden spoon and a really good knife. Like, you have to have a good knife to be able to really work in the kitchen, I think. So those would be some of my top choices for sure, that I use like on a daily basis a lot of times.
All right. Now, I was interested in what you mastered as your first dish when you were cooking, because obviously you've done a lot of cooking. So what was the one that you had to master?
The one that I have probably the biggest memory about is when my mom literally handed over Thanksgiving to me and was like, okay, this is the year. It's all yours. And I remember it was a big deal. I want to say I was 17, maybe 18. And I cooked the entire meal. and I nailed it. And I was like, I literally was like, oh my gosh, my chest is up bigger. I was like, I felt great, you know, and it was really fun to be able to kind of take on that. And then of course, right after that, she's like, you know, now that you've mastered it, you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life because I'm done. And I was like, oh, it was a trick, Mom. I got what you were doing. So that was one of the biggest memories I have.
That's awesome. I'm assuming it's a pretty crazy, hectic, fun family gathering when it's time for Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh,
for all of you.
it is. It is. We're all in there helping each other. And now that I'm married, all my in-laws are in there, and all the cousins are running around. I mean, it really is about family, and I couldn't love it more.
And that's what I love about this book, this cookbook, you know, Pull Up a Chair, Recipes from My Family to Yours. You really incorporate all these wonderful recipes. Now, I'm wondering if I'm going to go to this cookbook, which there's a ton of great recipes, what would be my first one that I should try?
Well, are you I mean, like, what's your favorite? Like, what is your favorite thing to usually make?
I mean, usually I always make spaghetti, you know, pasta.
Right, okay, pasta. Okay, well, maybe we should try something new, Veronica, right?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the enchiladas are pretty amazing, I have to say. I actually just made those the other day, and they're pretty amazing. That might impress your family, possibly. I'm not sure. But I also say, like, for a lot of people who don't have a lot of cooking experience and have a lot of time, you know, in the kitchen, I think one of the most important things, because it is the first meal of the day, mastering the egg in some sort of form is like super amazing. And if you can do that, then I think you can do anything.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's the one thing is breakfast first thing in the morning, or else I'm like dead the rest of the day.
I feel the exact same way, for sure.
Right on, Tiffani. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all this wonderful cooking recipes, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with everybody.
Thank you so much.
Definitely, hopefully one day you get to come up here in San Francisco and I can maybe show you how to make chilaquiles, and you can add that to your next cookbook.
I'm there. That's a date. I will totally be there.
Right on. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, honey.
I am definitely going to share this book. Thank you so much, Tiffani, and much continued success. Come back to the show and let us know what you're up to.
Thank you. Thank you. I will.
All right. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks to our guest, Tiffani Thiessen, for joining us on the show. You can learn more about her recipes in her cookbook, Pull Up a Chair, Recipes from My Family to Yours. She's got some great, delicious recipes in there. All right, we have more Sidewalks entertainment coming your way after the break. We'll be right back.
For more full-length celebrity interviews, visit sidewalkstv.com.